And I think we are good to roll. So, hi everyone. My name is Brie Pardo. Thank you so much for joining me and the Code PA team today as we talk about all of the exciting things that are coming. You'll learn a little bit about our team. We'll talk about each of the leaders that have joined Code PA in the last few months, or I guess weeks, really, and the team that we're looking to build and scale. We're going to try really, really hard to keep the slideware to a minimum so that you can get the scoop on who we are. But the focus will really be on taking time for questions and answers. So in terms of process and protocol for today, I am going to be your MC. I will be monitoring the chat for questions and then doling them out to the lovely leaders on my team as we go through the next hour of our day. And so please make sure that you are dropping questions in the chat and we will answer and respond as best we can. But before we jump into the fun portion, the Q&A portion, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a few slides just to give you an overview of what Code PA is and what we're doing here today. So like I mentioned before, we're going to give a very high-level overview. We'll do individual call-outs for each of the leaders that you see on the call today. So I won't spend time doing intros now because you'll get much more festive fun facts in a few minutes when we go through each of the slides. Each leader will be talking about roles that are being recruited. And then after we get through introductions and some of that information, we will transition to talk a little bit about our team culture and some very important next steps because 5 positions are getting posted tomorrow morning. So want to make sure that you have all the details on how to get engaged and how to chat with the team. So this is a picture of me on one of the most nerve-wracking days of my life. This was when we signed the executive order to form the Commonwealth Office of Digital Experience. So Governor Shapiro has set it as a priority in his administration that we will be breaking down the barrier between the .com and the .gov experience and really taking the inside baseball out of government services. And in order to do that, for the first time in Pennsylvania, we're establishing a digital services team focused on human-centered and user-centered design, bringing some best practices from outside of government into government of, making sure that we're doing user research, making sure that we're applying iterative prototype design, applying principles of product ownership to the different applications that exist, and starting to design experiences that maybe don't sit only solely within an agency, but really starting to think about that cross-agency experience. So for Pennsylvanians who maybe need to renew their driver's license and apply for unemployment and apply for WIC, SNP, CHIP, there are so many acronyms in government that you can apply for. Our job is to make sure that you don't need to know which specific agency is offering that service, but how to get to it, how to apply for it, and how to receive and manage your benefits easily. And so we're thinking about residents, we're thinking about businesses, and the scope of our project is really to just make it easier for Pennsylvanians to engage with us online. And there's a whole lot of scope there. I think coming from outside of government, it was truly amazing to me to understand really how big the scope and scale of government is. Everything from a hunting and fishing license to the driver's license to benefits that I don't even think a lot of people even know exist or are available today. That's the story and the narrative that we want to be able to bring together by leveraging a lot of really great technology. And so our team functions in 2 modalities. We have agencies that might come to us and say, hey, we have a problem. We need your help solving it. We have a lot of paper forms. If you're out there in the audience, you have probably filled out a paper form for government before. We might need to understand how to measure systems or modernize systems, or we have a digital system, but we don't know why, but nobody's using it. And so our team will work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with those agencies to reimagine what that could look like. And then the other side is these big, hairy, incredible dreams that have been set forth by this administration to create simple, seamless, authenticated experiences for Pennsylvania residents and businesses. So giving them that one-stop shop, owning the vision, and thinking about how we need to partner with agencies and IT folk alike to bring that vision to life. Now, we have the big vision there. We will also be championing the under the covers, potentially less sexy work in order to get that done. Things like identity and access management, master data management. Our goal is to really be storytellers and to relentlessly focus on the consumer as we're thinking about bringing some of these digital experiences to life. And really, at the end of the day, we have residents and businesses, but it's also super important to us that we can reduce administrative burden for all of our agency partners in every initiative that we touch as well, because the faster and more efficient and happier our agency employees are, that downstream impact goes straight to the consumer. And so if we can get a few more Dwight Schrutes on the table, that might be a scary prospect, but love the idea of bringing some of that joy to the table and an appreciation and excitement for coming to work and engaging with the tools that we build out. So I'm going to have one more slide before I pass it over where I will introduce myself. But the next wave of this will really be learning about the awesome leadership team that we have been able to assemble. Truly, I'm humbled every day that they have come to work at the state of PA and partner with me on this startup in government. And so we will pass it along, but very quickly, just for a little context. Look, that's me when I brush my hair. My name is Brie Pardo, pronouns she, her. I come from Milton, Pennsylvania. I've lived here for about 10 years. Prior to joining the Code PA team, I spent about the last 10 years in healthcare, and now I'm super excited to be the executive director of Code PA. We were thinking about fun facts. For me, if I was going to have intro music to a WWE cage match, it would be The Time Is Now by John Cena, which conveniently is also what I walked into my wedding to. So just really hitting the theme hard there. And I think you will see these attributes in the individuals as they introduce themselves today. But when I'm thinking about what I look for in team members, it's really about being able to ask good questions, holding yourself accountable to a high standard of work, having a solid sense of humor because we will deal with chaos, and I cope with chaos through laughter. Truly just a get it done mentality. Like I mentioned, we're a startup. We're building from the ground up inside of government. And so wanting to just roll your sleeves up and figure it out is a really important trait. Comfort in ambiguity. There is, like I said, so much happening at the state all the time. We're not always going to have a prescriptive, these are the next 7 steps that we're going to take. And so being willing to sort of live in that gray matter, I think is really important. And then the last thing here is people that can people. At the end of the day, our work is not successful if we are not building relationships and maintaining relationships across the Commonwealth, not only with residents, but with our fellow employees. And so it's so important that people are not afraid to have open dialogue, take the time to have a coffee chat and understand why someone is doing the work that they're doing, and then build on that relationship to really get good work done. So that's my spiel. I'm going to shut up for a few minutes and pass it along to the other members of my team. So I will introduce Sarah Withy. Sarah, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Withy. Brie was talking about chaos. That's my cat Rorschach up there in the corner, who's pretty much doing all the chaos right now. My pronouns are she and her. I come from Kansas City, Missouri, but I've lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for about the last 5 or so years. I have met Adam Savage from the Mythbusters. That was really fun. In a meet and greet thing when he was a keynote at a tech conference I was at. But we got to talk about robots and side projects and work-life balance, and that was really kind of cool. also came from software engineering. So I've been working in a lot of different industries over the years, a lot of different languages. I've done a little bit of everything, I feel like. But most recently, I was at the federal government, kind of also doing consulting where we would pull members of the government, but we went and helped other agencies with their software projects. And that was a lot of fun. And so when I heard about Code PA kind of popping in, and I'm just like, well, the odds I could go over there and kind of do that cool work over there. So I feel really excited that I get to do that here in Pennsylvania. What I look for in team members when hiring, good problem solving strategies. I think there's a lot of thought of you need like lots and lots of tech chops doing things, but really I like to see like how you approach problems and how you solve them. That's more important to me, I think, than knowing if you can recite everything from a computer science textbook back to me. I really like collaborative spirit. I've worked in silos with where I can't really talk to my coworkers because they won't talk to me. It's really not fun. So I'm very much about, engaging and make sure everybody's on the same page with the work that we do. I love people with a strong curiosity and a desire to try new things. And I think part of that is, especially in government, there's a lot of, well, we've done it this way, it's the way we're going to keep doing it. And with our kind of work in modernizing with digitizing and all that, we need to kind of help people think a little outside the box. So having that curiosity to think that way helps a lot. I also like people that can ask why and think through those non-traditional ways of doing things. Kind of similarly, just, well, we've always done it this way. We can't share this data. We can't build that thing. We can't whatever. And I'm like, why can't you? Why can't you? Because I think you probably can. You just haven't for whatever reason. This is my other cat, Theodosius. I'm all for pets, by the way, if you have cats, dogs, whatever, show them on screen. And then finally, that they take the work seriously, but don't take themselves seriously. I think, especially because in government, you work with a lot of serious agency-minded people, and that's important. You want them to be really invested in their work. But it also means just like, it's hard to go through like serious stuff all the time. I think you need to have a little bit of fun with it. You kind of see like government is ridiculous sometimes, and you just kind of have to be empathetic towards the users, be empathetic towards the people doing their things, and don't take yourself too seriously along the process. We're about to have an enterprise architect role open up on Saturday, tomorrow, and then soon backend developers and maybe other people, data scientists, database people. I don't know, partly because we have projects coming down the pipeline, and I'm still kind of analyzing their needs and seeing what how we're going to work with them. So I don't quite know the other types of role we're going to hire, but I do know soon we're going to have some of those kinds of roles. So that's me. I think Sarah Kinter is next.
I am. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Sarah Kinter, and I am the head of operations and procurement for Code PA. I'm a lifelong Pennsylvanian. I grew up in northeastern PA, and then I settled in Pittsburgh, and I've been there for over a decade. And my job is to help stand up operations within Code PA so that our team can partner with Pennsylvania state agencies and improve customer experience and digital service delivery for Commonwealth residents, businesses, and our customers. I'm also responsible for working to innovate procurement practices to meet our growing technology demands. I come from the public sector, and I have been in the nonprofit and public sector my whole career. And then prior to coming to Code PA, I was the director of the City of Pittsburgh Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections. On a Saturday night, you can catch me playing my weekly D&D game with my friends and family. I'm a pretty big fan of tabletop games, and I make time to play them. As a manager, I'm a very task-focused person. I love to get stuff done. And the wonderful thing about working in the public sector and Code PA is that the stuff that we will work on will have real positive impacts on the Pennsylvanians we serve, and it's very exciting. I'm currently hiring a Scrum Master, so hopefully that job description will be up tomorrow. Really someone to help usher through the amazing projects that we have in the pipeline to support the Code PA team. I will be looking for folks that take initiative and ownership of our work and focus on getting results that further the mission and vision of Code PA. I'm looking for folks that are flexible as needs and priorities change, which they absolutely will. And, people that have imagination to do work or deliver services in a different way to benefit our customers and citizens. And finally, folks that are passionate about continual improvement and making those digital experiences better and better. I'm so excited that, again, these positions will be posted tomorrow. So apply tomorrow, and looking forward to meeting candidates. And with that, I will pass it over to Dan.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I'm Dan Rosenberg. I am a Philadelphia native and I live just outside the city now. I have a family of 3 and I am the head of product here at Code PA. This is my first foray into public sector work, government work. I previously held roles with Comcast and Accenture and consulting roles and tech roles. And like Sarah mentioned, really excited to get to kind of give back to the community and my friends and family all around me. Currently hiring for an experience lead, which would be akin to what you might see a product owner or a product lead at a private company, as well as a contact director. And if I had to delete all but 3 apps on my phone, this was really hard to choose. I think I would keep YouTube, Spotify, and the New York Times cooking app. I've learned so much in COVID era, my life and recipes and how to cook. I don't think I could break myself away from that app. And I'm always watching a video or listening to music while I'm cooking. So I think if I had to choose, those would be the 3 that I'd go with. And my experience in hiring team members and working with folks is, I'm looking for someone that I can really collaborate well with. And a big feature is just an eagerness to solve problems. Problem solving is sort of at the core of what product does, and being able to translate really complex requirements into solutions is, I think, what our core role is. And someone who's comfortable executing those steps is really what I'm hoping to find in a partner. As a part of that, I think there's a necessary desire to own and master details. I think the product role is unique in that you need to know a little bit about everything. There's a little bit of this sort of Renaissance science to understanding what all of my colleagues here on the screen can do, and not necessarily being an expert in all of those, but knowing enough to be dangerous so that when you're at the beginning of these processes, you can help set them up for the greatest success long term. And in that, there's always ambiguity. Brie mentioned this. I think there's a level of comfort, but can you be energized by that ambiguity and try to convert it into the specificity that's necessary to actually deliver the experiences that you're looking for? That's what I'm really hoping for in a new team member. And I think it's really important that you come to the table with creativity, and one that's sort of unbound by any of your own personal worries, concerns, professionally or personally. The folks that I've worked with the very best over my career have had really robust artistic creativity, both professionally and personally. And I love to have folks like that on the team to offer that design thinking methodology and to be fearless in what you might offer as solutions to otherwise really complex or frustrating situations and problems. And so if you're a person like that, please, by all means, feel free to reach out or apply to these roles. I'd love to talk. So with that, I'll pass it over to my colleague, Terence.
There we go. Found the mic. Hi, everybody. I'm Terence. I am head of user experience research here at Code PA. Originally, a long, long time ago. I'm from Pensacola, Florida, but I left there, 25 years ago. I've lived all over the place, but for the last 10 years or so, I've been up in the Philadelphia region. So I live just outside Philly, in the suburbs in Devon. So I actually have the same sort of fun fact question that Brie used, just because I like it. If this were a WWE cage match, what intro song would I play? For me, it has to be either a funeral march because I'm going to get killed, or silly clown music. And it reminded me, I don't know if anybody else is tracking, I certainly am, the cage match between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Do we know about this? I will definitely be watching because to me, there's nothing funnier than when nerds like myself try to wrestle. So that's a bit about me. What am I looking for? Somebody who doesn't take themselves too seriously, just the right amount of seriousness. I'm looking for a curious mind. So the position that will be opening up on my team is for a UX researcher. And the thing that's always sort of driven me throughout my professional career has been a deep curiosity with why people behave the way they do, in whatever setting that might be. So in the current moment, we're talking about how people behave with regard to digital experiences. But I think the mindset that's going to be really important for this job is something that goes beyond that. It's going to be trying to understand, in a digital context, what's the bigger picture, right? What are the things that go into influencing how somebody experiences a digital environment, and really being able to ask the deep why questions. I think everybody who's joined this call probably knows this, but different types of research answer different questions, right? Quantitative is who, what, when, where, how many, but really the qualitative is about why. Why did that happen? Why? And just continuing to ask that why and go deeper, and even getting into some root cause analysis. So all of that is to say, while ideally the person who fills this role is going to be a technologist and have that experience with user experience research, for me, that's not the most important criterion. What's most important is that you want to know the answer to the question that you're investigating. You personally want to know. There's something about it that is inherently interesting to you. So a curious mind, a positive attitude. Life is full of drama, and that's unavoidable. I like to minimize drama. I like to, just sort of, to the extent that we can, make life easier for clients, coworkers, supervisors. And so somebody who has a positive attitude, sort of my mantra that I learned many years ago from a boss is, it's great to identify problems. Don't bring them to the table unless you've identified 2 to 3 solutions to the problems that you've identified, right? And so that's really what I'm looking for. Somebody with a yes and mindset, somebody like Sarah said, who's constantly asking why not? Why can't we do that? That's going to be really important. Technical expertise, like I said, is important, although some of that can be learned, obviously. But when we talk about technical expertise, there's kind of 2 ways of looking at it. To me, there's an advantage to not having too much in-depth understanding of the world that you're sort of exploring through research, because you bring that outsider perspective, a fresh mindset, and so there's a value there. At the same time, understanding a little bit about the ecosystem is important, and being able to do things like A/B testing, card sorting, first click testing, some of those things that are pretty common in user experience research. That's definitely a plus. And then finally, a sense of humor and just being a little bit relaxed, being able to laugh in a kind-hearted way at me, when you'll have plenty of opportunities to laugh at me, I assure you. But just having a sense of humor, and just being somebody that, in addition to working together, somebody that I would enjoy just hanging out with. You would enjoy hanging out with me. Just kind of having that colleague relationship, and I think that's an important concept. Not just a coworker, but a colleague, and somebody who can contribute to a collegial environment and just make work a little bit more fun. So that's a bit about me. Looking forward to having conversations. And I think with this, I'm going to pass it over to Stephen. Why don't you take it?
Sure. Thanks, Terence. Hello, all. I'm Stephen Gallardi. I have lived in the Commonwealth of PA for I don't know how long. It's got to be approaching a decade. But before that, I kind of wandered all over the country, but eventually settled outside of Pittsburgh, which is an amazing city for all who know it. Um, I'm head of UX design with Code PA, and I'm about 6 weeks in, I think. I only know it because Sarah said 5, and I'm only a week ahead of her. So it feels like 5 years, though. It's just a lot to absorb. This is my first stint in the public sector. Previously working in private sector, pretty much all over the place, from manufacturing to printing to military to education, nonprofit, healthcare, and consulting, previous to this role. Um, Came to this role to make a difference in the community I live in. I have to be able to connect my work to something that results in something, for people. It means something to the community. It means something that is, contributing to a greater good. I can't just make money for other people. It drives me nuts. So that's why I'm not in consulting anymore. But I'm happy to be here with the Code PA team. When I'm not working, which I do way too much, I am off the internet. I don't really keep a phone on me. I go outside. I spend a lot of time, hiking, moving around, a horseback ride, sail, taking flying lessons, cook a lot, love food, try to get out into the city and explore new restaurants. And I'm absolutely obsessed with Indian food and Thai food. I cannot always find a ton of people who will go have it with me because it's spicy. But when I do, they're like, I'm texting them all the time. I'm like, hey, Indian buffet today, Thai place. Um, so that's a little bit about me. I am hiring for a UX designer um, right now, which is a very vague term. I hate UX roles where it's like UX designer, UX researcher, UX guy, what have you, because there's many facets to use at UX, and everybody coming at it has a different experience. Coming to that role, finding their way to that role. I've met a lot of UX engineers and folks who get there because they were software engineers, or they were product or project people, or they're graphic designers, and they just kind of find their way there. And the flavor they bring is always something a little different. And that's the coolest part about, I think, being a UX person, is that when you meet other UX people, they're not like meeting another software engineer. They're like meeting, somebody totally different every time. You never know what you're going to get. But someone I am looking for this, for looking, the type of person I am looking for this role, would be somebody who challenges ideas and asks why. Nobody who's going to get stuck down in, why we have to do things the old way, or curious about understanding how things work. It's really important to really ask why we're doing something, and you're going to have people come to you, with solutions, before we've really explored the problem. And it's important to walk that back and explore the problem first, and propose solutions or propose ideas for solutions that are, minimally viable products for the problem we're trying to solve. I'm also really looking for somebody who is not afraid to be different and make it really weird. Like, it's really important to, throw things at the wall and see what sticks, and fail fast and not be afraid to fail. At Code PA, we hope to create, an environment and a culture where failure is embraced, where, we try new things, and if it doesn't work, no one's going to give you a hard time about it. We're going to try it, see if it works. Best case scenario, it's amazing, and we just adopt it as our process and into our design thinking. Worst case, it just doesn't work out, and we tried it. Now we know. I think it's very important. It's important as a culture, and it's important professionally to have the liberty to explore those things, and because it's a part of your growth. No one works for their health. We do it because we love what we do, and we have to be able to grow in that space. I like people who get excited about innovation and embrace change. The worst people to work with are the ones who are afraid of change, or who can't handle things, shifting and moving around too terribly much. Change is hard. It's, I think, human nature to be anxious about change, but it's important to really be open to it, to embrace it, and to think innovatively about new things, like new technologies or new ways of doing things. We're entering a brave new world here with machine learning and AI, which is going to upend everything that we do on our team, and everything that everybody in this call is going to do with their career over the next decade. So it's important to think creatively about, those new tools available to us and what they mean. And I like people who take stuff apart and put it back together again. I am a huge nerd. There is not a computer or piece of technology or appliance in my house I have not pulled apart just to understand how it works. Not because it needed fixed, because I just wanted to know. I pulled a washing machine apart yesterday because there was something wrong with it. And now I understand how to put it back together and take it apart. And I fixed it. I just love that stuff. I love fixing stuff. I love working on cars, anything with an engine. Is just amazing to me. And I love computers and technology. And that's kind of how I got into, a career in technology. So I'm looking for somebody who will get into, problems that we face, dig into, some of the nuances of it and really apply that to the design work that we'll do. We think about design as being pretty and being aesthetic, but it's not always about really the aesthetics. It's about, the pieces and parts that work and they're accessible, and really solve the problem. So that's really important to be able to pull things apart and take it back together, because so often we'll be working with existing systems that we have to rebuild. And the last one, people who could just see the potential and opportunity anywhere and everywhere. Like, I'm the type of person personally who can drive by a dilapidated old house and be like, that would look really nice with a new siding and a new roof on it. While other people are just kind of like, that needs to be torn down. But it's good to be able to, when we look at processes and things in government that are not great or hard to understand how they got there, it's important to understand, that there's opportunity there to do things better and possibly opportunity there to work with what we have. Things don't exist the way they do for non-reasons. It's good to really understand and see potential in all things. So that's kind of what the criteria I'm looking for in a UX designer. Obviously somebody who has Figma chops, loves design, things that look good, look sexy. We're going to make government sexy here at Code PA, which is a really strange thing to say. But I want to be the first one to do it. I want to set the example and the bar for the country. So if that appeals to you, let's talk. I'll pass it over to Jaya.
Yes. Hi, good morning. Sorry, good afternoon. I'm Brie Pardo, and I live in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, but I'm from Hyderabad, India. And my experience is a combination of both private and public sector. And I love reading the books, and gardening and playing with my kids is one more important thing. And watching Netflix is the final thing that I'll be doing if I'm not doing any of the above. And I'm hiring for front-end developers and the quality engineers. So what I'm looking for in my team is, like, first thing, the team player, who has, I do not want anyone to be very expertise, like knowledge in each and every technology that I'm looking for, but enough to take the things and understand, and should be able to interpret the work that's been assigned, and come up with new ideas, or else if something is not good, the proposed architecture or proposed solution is not good, they should be able to propose the solution, and they should be able to give us a better solution and come back, okay, this is not right, and this is how I want this one. And who also should be able to come up with the new technologies, who are willing to work with the new technologies and all. So I'm pretty much looking for this kind of people who are willing to work, come with an extra, with an sorry.
Okay, you're all right.
Yeah, I'm looking for a team player, to be honest. Yeah, that's all from my side. So
Thanks, Jaya. So that's the crew. That's the leadership team. You have now met Code PA. It was funny, for the first few weeks that I was at the state, I was kind of like, hi, I'm representing the Code PA office, and right now it is Brie Pardo. So it's been delightful to have this cast of characters working alongside me, thinking about how we can improve digital services. And here we are with the governor. So in case anyone has ever thought, does Code PA have the back-end and buy-in from our executive leadership? Where does Governor Shapiro stand today on digital services? He's all in. This administration is fully committed, and we had the awesome opportunity to meet with him on our leadership team's first-ish day. Some people started a little bit earlier, but we all came to the Capitol and had the opportunity to hear about his priorities and where we're going to go together. And I think that's been something so incredible. We have such amazing partners in our IT shop that want to drive this work forward. And we also have executive sponsorship across the street in the Capitol. And so truly the combination of those two things and the forging of that is giving us a runway unlike anything I've seen anywhere else in the country. And so that momentum and that energy, I think, is what fuels all of the leaders that you're hearing on the call today. So I want to talk a little bit about work-life culture, because I think this is really important, and it's a priority for me as a leader and across our leadership team. We have a daily stand-up every day at 8:30. Bring your coffee, bring your tea, Dr. Pepper, drink of choice. And we're going to talk about the work that's coming in the pipeline, what your priorities are that day, and any blockers that you might have. And then the day wraps around 5-ish. Some days get a little crazy and unwieldy, and we are hosting user research focus groups at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. But for the most part, this is sort of the standard. Our team is all over the state of Pennsylvania, and we love that. We love that we can get representation from Pittsburgh, Philly, Central PA. And so while there will be travel required into Harrisburg, do not feel like you need to live in the suburbs of the Capitol in order to join this team. Please apply, and we'll talk about sort of what our process will look like going forward. I hope you've gotten this from our conversations, but we're building a culture of feedback, collaboration, and a sense of humor. I think it's really important for us to all be able to bounce ideas, good, bad, and ugly, off one another as we're moving through every project. And so that's so important for us as we're recruiting folks. And I haven't seen Sarah Withy too hard in the side chat today, but her love of puns is unbeatable and at a different scale. And so being willing to jump in, yes, this is what we needed. Dog smiling gifs in the chat. That is our energy. And so that's what we're hoping to be able to continue to foster. And so as we think about important next steps before we jump into Q&A, I want to make sure that we hit this. Several job postings will be going live tomorrow. Those include the Scrum Master, Content Director, Senior Business Analyst, which is the product owner / experience lead that Dan was referencing, a quality engineer, and an enterprise architect. Job postings are only up for 5 days. The state of Pennsylvania is ready to roll and get people on board and make sure that we are moving quickly. So these are the first 5 positions going up. We will be rolling out additional positions over time. So there were a lot of different positions talked about today. If you don't see it in that list, the answer for today is reach out to the leader that you have seen on this team on LinkedIn and say, let's grab a cup of coffee. Here's my resume. Let's talk about this opportunity in joining Code PA. We are more than open to doing some informational coffee chats about what's coming so that the second that those job postings go live, we can have them in your inbox. And I think another really important thing, and this is something that I'm especially sensitive to, is if you're looking through the job descriptions and you're like, oh, like I'm maybe a few years off from the amount of work experience that I need, or maybe I don't hit every single bullet in the job description, apply anyway. Please, please, please apply anyway. Because if you are a curious thinker, you are ambitious, you want to change the way that Pennsylvanians engage with online digital service, we don't want to miss the opportunity to interact with you. And even if it's not a today position, it might be a future position, and we want to build that network. It is so important to us that we have the opportunity to have those conversations. So just wanted to put that out there. If you're looking at this and going, I'm almost there, or I'm pretty far away, but I still want to talk with these people, our proverbial digital door is open to all of you, and just want to make that super clear. So we're going to move into the Q&A round. A lot of questions have started to pop in, so I'm going to divvy them out to the team. And we will go through that way, but please continue to pop them in the chat. We are here until 1, so don't be afraid to continue to ask. And then after the meeting, if there are additional questions that you have, all of the contact information for LinkedIn was included in the registration page for today. You also have all of our names, so please feel free to find us on LinkedIn, but don't be afraid to continue the dialogue. So I'm going to start at the top. Sarah, I think this is kind of a fun one for you to answer. Do you want to talk about the stack of Pennsylvania government technology?
Sure. So you had asked if it was Azure, Google Cloud, or AWS. It's basically Azure and .NET stuff for all of that. But I have seen some impressively complex data modeling diagrams of gobs and gobs and gobs of boxes and arrows and everything tied in. So specific development will probably be in .NET and working in Azure DevOps and stuff like that. But we'll definitely have to do a lot of figuring out how other systems work, connecting into those. Most of them have contractor built or pre-made solutions that we need to connect to or pass data back and forth or interface with, or who knows what. I'm still figuring out a lot of what's out there in the state. So that's probably the nutshell answer is .NET, but be flexible for other things.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. All right. We see a question about, aside from this talk today, what methods will you be putting these opportunities out into the world? So the Commonwealth will be posting on the Commonwealth job board. I will post that link in the chat so that everyone has access to it. So that will be the best place for you to go, is to look there. But also everyone on this team will be promoting jobs that are coming for their team. So keep an eye out on our LinkedIn feeds as well, because we will be promoting what's coming down the pike also. Dan, Jeff would like to know a little bit more about the content director role and what you're imagining for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thanks for the question, Jeff. The way I'd put it is words are hard. The English language is not easy, and that's only one of the languages that the Commonwealth does business in. Right? If you think about just the demographics that we have across the state, it's very wide. And so we want to make sure our experiences are tailored to all of those individuals. And the services that we offer as a Commonwealth are not always incredibly easy to understand. And so if you take that combination of, well, words can be tough to choose, and the services are difficult to describe or elaborate on, we need an expert who helps bring those things together and deliver it into an eloquent experience. And so that content director is meant to do that. So in anything that we create or build, they will be responsible for ensuring that the words that we choose to integrate into those experiences are thoughtful and deliberate. And they'll also be a part of any other experience that we're consulting on to help deliver a better outcome, where maybe we're not the core builder or leader for that effort, but we have an expert who can help shape and marry the best solution from a verbiage standpoint and help consult with our colleagues. So that role is huge. we chose to bring that into the product organization because it will be collaborative with both our UX colleagues, but also work with me on product development, product requirements, and understanding technical requirements and writing them in a way that will be more digestible for our colleagues here, but broader consumption for the Commonwealth. So that's a really great role. I'm very much looking forward to having someone with that expertise on the team.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. I'm going to jump in quickly for Heather's question about knowing that positions are opening tomorrow. So positions will be posted for 5 days. Then we're hoping for about 2.5 weeks for interview process at the end of those 5 days. And then we will work with you. The last thing that we want to do is leave any employer in a lurch or have you feel bad about a transition as you're moving from one organization to the next. So the caveat or asterisk that I will put behind that comment is, boy, howdy, we have a lot of projects in the pipeline. And so thinking about bringing people on, there's a sense of urgency, but at the same time, we want to be sensitive to the existing work and life that people are coming to the table with as they join our team. So sort of a non-answer, but like, please come quickly, I think is the best way that I can put that. I'm going through. We have a question about sprint cycles cadence if planned, and I'm going to kind of flip that. Sarah Kinter, do you just want to talk a little bit about sort of the formation that we are going through in our team of like how we're co-creating what our operations look like?
Right. So that is a collaborative effort right now. And I think one important thing to note for those that are interested in applying for the Scrum Master position is that it really is a shared resource for all of the leadership team that you see here. So we'll really be relying on that person to help usher through these really important projects working with all of the heads. So we don't have a precise answer to that question because we are working on it. But we have some really we're fleshing out those ideas.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah. John Prophet asked about the build versus buy question, the essential build versus buy question. And I think this is an important one. I might tee this up and then I'll pass it to anybody else to help fill in the blanks. I am never a believer in going into any conversation and saying, this is how we're going to do it. Can't wait to custom build you an application. I think it's our job to help unpack what's the problem that you're trying to solve. Are there existing solutions that are already within the Commonwealth where maybe we just need to tackle sort of what the user experience is and how someone gets to that application? Do we need to think about innovative procurement strategies to find said solution that might be helpful? Or is this something truly that needs to be out of the box, built and reimagined? I can tell you right now, we have projects that check all 3 of those boxes. And so I think it's truly going to be on a case-by-case basis, and the Commonwealth is complex, and so that will continue to evolve. But our goal is not to build solutions that are off the shelf somewhere else that could be really great, that could continue to provide value for the organization, but to think about how it fits into the overall ecosystem and strategy of IT. Any other thoughts from the rest of the team? Or
I'll jump in real quick and say, it is consulting. We don't own any of these products. We're working with the other agencies and stuff to help them with their stuff, with their needs. And, it may involve a little bit of working with the code they already have. It may involve a little bit writing new stuff. I've seen a couple of projects that are probably a little bit of both already. But ideally, I see my level probably helping determine some of those, but by the time we get to hiring a backend developer, they'll probably be doing mostly working with already existing code or making new code for that.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, Jaya, this question is for you. Ben is asking, why Angular?
So if you see the Commonwealth, we are mainly Microsoft shop actually. So And most of the applications with my past experience, I would say like most of the applications we prefer to develop in MVC and .NET MVC and ASPX and all, like, using the .NET technologies. The reason why I've specifically mentioned like the Angular is because of we can to create the applications in more dynamic single page applications that I wanted to, but it's not like we have to stick to the only that particular technology, but I'm open for like suggestions if we can form a team with with the other technologies like React or anything, right? I'm willing to listen for and consider that as well. It's not specifically for Angular. I'm sorry if I made it show it as if I'm looking only for Angular developers.
Perfect. Thanks, Jay.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think that's great. We have another question from Ben, and I'm going to pass this over to Terence. User focus groups. Will there be a priority on working with users early and getting that early feedback from users?
Oh my God, yeah, thank you for the question. I mean, I think that's, I was actually just thinking about that. I think that's key because we'll run into situations where the need for some project or initiative is identified at the agency level or at our level. And so we, without even thinking about it, we make assumptions about what the problem is that we're trying to solve for. And I think that what we need is to really be putting the user first and making sure that the problem that we're trying to solve for is a problem for the actual end user and not a problem for me, right, or anybody else. So the answer to your question is yes, absolutely. We want to do that as much as we can. That's the point, at least of user experience research. So thanks.
Love it. Yeah, I will say one of the things that I want to call out about props to this administration is when we were hiring for this role, we had just one UX lead. And as Stephen and Terence emerged as UX research expertise and design expertise, it's like, we have to do both. This is going to be so important. And just a strong example of this administration going, we got to do this the right way. We split the position and created two. So I just want to make it clear that there's flexibility as we're building this out to make sure that we get the right people at the table to do this work. We have a great question about a college graduate in computer science who is maybe looking for entry level. Sarah, I'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Love the question. Glad you asked. Right off the bat, I will probably need senior level people just because we have to hit the ground running really, really quickly. And so I need somebody with that experience that knows enough that they can kind of throw themselves at it. I'm hoping to be able to hire a whole mix of people in time. I would love to have the juniors and the mids and the seniors and be able to kind of all collaboratively work together. I think juniors have lots of wonderful energy and cool ideas on how to do things. So yes, I would absolutely love to have them, but probably not in the very, very, very near future.
Yeah, we are dreaming up fellowship programs, internships, all the fun things. So keep an eye out for cool stuff coming from Code PA. Next up, we have, if you're hiring a Scrum Master product owner, I'm assuming you're using Agile Scrum. Yes, I'm pretty sure 4 of us keep our grocery lists in Kanban organized format. Azure DevOps will be the tool that we are using for that, Maggie. And we have planning sessions next week to figure out how the heck we want to build that out so that it makes sense. Bruce, SharePoint is used. Stephen, I'm going to pass this one to you. Who is responsible for accessibility in the sites and applications that are built?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and actually very timely. So it's been a good focus of my week. We have somebody with the Department of what is it, Brie? It's escaping me. The Ellen's a part of the it's within the Office of Admin, but
Enterprise applications.
Enterprise applications. She's a part of that team, and she is kind of the accessibility lead in making sure everything that the Commonwealth does meets the accessibility needs of our residents and, of course, COPA employees as well. I work very closely with her to make those considerations in the design work, as does Terence in the research work that we do. And actually this week we were looking at creative ways to embed accessibility considerations into our user personas and into the design and requirements documents that we produce. We're quite new, so we're building the plane as we're flying it, but that's something that came down the pipe, and I was like, Ellen, you're right. Let's make this the first best example of how we do that. So thank you for the question. But we have a dedicated, short answer, we have a dedicated person for that. We work very, very closely with her.
Perfect. Thank you. And let's talk about, oh my gosh, we have so many questions. So really quickly, I just want to note, we want to answer all these questions. Probably what will end up happening is we will pull these all out and then post answers so that everyone has clear visibility to them. So if your answer does not come during this call, we will take the time to draft quick and hopefully entertaining answers to your questions if we don't get all the way through them today. So let's see here. We've got some questions about data analysis initiatives. I don't know, Dan, do you want to talk a little bit about data and its role in your job?
Yeah, I saw that question. Thank you for it. I think that data analytics plays a part in probably every aspect of our team here. So I could see having a data analyst on the Sarah's team, Straya's team, Stephen's team, Terrence's team. I think that traditionally you'd see that sort of BA role as a function of a product owner role or product lead role in product shop. And that's meant to be able to just analyze what does the existing experience look like for a user using Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics. We've got a little bit of both, or using Qualtrics, or using any data that's on our open data website. Being able to piece all that together to help then translate that into a story, perhaps a problem statement, perhaps what a future state vision looks like. I think baseline expectations is that folks are able to come to the table with the ability to do that type of analysis. And I hope long-term we'll have a bit of a dedicated role, a data scientist is asked in the question, and some part of our team that we can tap into for that expertise. In the near term, we're hoping that a comfort with tools like Tableau and ClickView and Excel and R and SAS and those sort of standard off-the-shelf tools is something that a new member of the team could help bring to the table so that we can work together to make sure we're really thoroughly understanding the opportunities that we have to improve the digital experiences that are in our wheelhouse. So thank you for that question.
Love it. Thanks, Dan. Got a lot of upvotes on this one, and I think I'm going to take it and then we'll pass it around. What are the risks if the next set of administration doesn't see as much value in these changes? So I think that's a fair question, and that's something that our team needs to work in this administration to show the value of what we're doing so that it's not a question of whether or not we're going to incorporate user experience research or we're going to incorporate user experience design and prototyping and putting the human at the center of what we're doing. It's just a part of our culture. And so I'm not afraid of a 3.5-year runway, especially under the Shapiro administration that is moving at the speed of light, for us to make a lasting impact so that Code PA isn't just a team that was formed by an executive order, but Code PA is a part of the culture of how applications get developed and how IT functions and how digital service functions at the state level. And so I hope you can feel the energy in the room that we're all sort of on that charge and mission, and that's where we're going. And I have no doubt that we're going to make that happen. All right, so we are at 1 o'clock. Oh my gosh, we've got so many good questions. We will follow up with any of those that are still roaming out there, but I want to be sensitive to time. So thank you for tuning in. Again, we have those 5 positions that go up tomorrow, so please log in. Nothing says fun Saturday like applying for a job at Code PA. And if you have follow-up questions, as I mentioned before, reach out. We're here for you. So thank you so much for the time, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.